Greetings from Chicagoland. You're listening to Munira's Musings, where your host Munira will showcase new guests each week to share exciting details about the journey to their niches. As we like to say, the riches are in the niches, and on this show, we'll share ideas on how to break through our invisible boundaries so we can start taking steps towards our dreams and create the life that we most desire. If you're passionate about impacting lives, then this podcast will give you some great ideas and equip you with the tools to quickly grow your business. Okay, let's get started with today's show. Here's your host, Munira.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, the Niche Navigator, coming to you live with another episode of a niche that has taken the world by storm. Our guest today is Sabrina Osso, all the way from New Jersey. Welcome to Munira's Musings, Sabrina.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to be here.
Thank you. So we bring this show for people who don't know or that's streaming for the first time. We bring this show because we know that there are people who have a heart of an entrepreneur, but don't have the confidence to jump into I call the sea of entrepreneurship. And these episodes are inclined for you to just jump in and start with us. This is going to be a very unique conversation because we're talking about safety in the homes. Sabrina, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Again, thank you so much for having us, Munira. My name is Sabrina Osso from Oso Safe. Feel safe where you live, work, and play. I am a speaker, real estate agent, and an author on promoting safety and preventing violence in the workplace, schools, but in particular in your place of residence. I grew up in New Jersey primarily. I was born in New York, in Manhattan, but I primarily grew up in New Jersey. And my business started as a one-woman show. I'm a dancer, and I wrote, choreographed, and performed a one-woman show called Home Sweet Home ? And I play different women being abused. She goes to her good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But then she's pulled back into the terror of violence. The show ends really strong, really empowering. And I did a lot of research for the show. And I couldn't believe the statistics that I was finding. So I said to myself, wow, I know how it impacted me because I am a survivor of violence. So I said to myself, I need to make this into a business, a bona fide business with products and services that could really help people. So that's how my business was born, Oso Safe in a nutshell.
So, no, thank you so much for sharing. So I don't want you to relive, but how long were you in an abusive relationship?
Well, it was my father beating my mother, and my mother would beat me. So throughout up until I was 21. At 21, I moved out. And so as they say, if you come from violence, you spend your adulthood healing from your childhood. So throughout my whole life, my whole childhood, really, and it wasn't until I was 21, I got therapy. We are big proponents of therapy at Oso Safe from 19 years old. I'm comfortable talking about it because it is healing. So you could ask me anything. I'll answer as best as I can, but I hope I answered the question.
No, it's good because most people, when they think about abuse, it's always spousal abuse, right? And people are demeaned, they are beaten up, they are trained to be a nobody, and you will not amount to anything. And so we know this because we've seen it, we've experienced it. We also feel it because I've seen movies about that too. And so we know that this happens behind closed doors. Now, you started a business through your dance show, and you realized that there were women who are not saying anything about abuse. Am I assuming that right?
Right. Well, it could be anyone, men, women, children, especially children. Children suffer the most. I should know because I was a child witnessing my father be my mother and my mother would beat me. So I know firsthand how traumatizing that is, how it's like living in terror. So it's not just women, it's men, anyone that's being abused, but especially children, because they suffer the most and they are the most silenced, I'm finding. You would think that a lot of people don't know this. The laws, the courts, the judges, the so-called child protective service agencies, they make horrible matters even worse, which is why I designed my business the way I did, because you would think that the laws, the courts, the child protective service agencies, that they protect and they make it better. I could say to you with personal and professional experience, they make it even more difficult, more traumatizing, more horrible. So we say, don't call anybody. Call us. Don't call the police. Yes, call the police. You're going to get a restraining order. You're going to hire a lawyer if you have the money. You're going to go through the court system. You're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're going to go through mediators and parent coordinators and child protective service agencies. It needs to be resolved in residency, in your home, wherever you live. If you live in a townhouse, a co-op, a condo, a single family home, a multi-family dwelling, a two-family home, a villa, a mansion, a mobile home, a dormitory, a senior community, that's where it needs to be resolved. Forget the courts. You won't need the courts with our products and services, because quite frankly, they will make it even worse. Your children will be worse off for it. Yeah.
But that's a very good segue into this program, right? You call it Oso Safe, right? And your tagline is to be safe where you live, work, and play. So there is, like, we hear a lot of school violence is people just going in and doing horrible things there, and just I don't understand these people. So when that happens, say it was a school, how would you mediate? How would you take care of it? You said you take care of it right at the point. How do you do that?
Well, when these school shootings happen, it's too late to do something, because people are either teachers or students or staff or a combination of all three are injured, or there's property damage, obviously, to the school, or the worst case scenario, murdered. I mean, you have children that are interviewed in these situations and they are learning. I've heard of a couple of scenarios where kids, they cover themselves in the blood of their friends, of their fellow, their students, their friends. So that way the shooter thinks that they're dead to spare their own life. I mean, and these are kindergarten kids, first grade, second grade, fifth grade. I mean, it's just
Mind-blowing.
Unacceptable, inexcusable. We need to nip it in the bud where these shooters, it shouldn't even get that far, because to do something at that point, it's too late. We do a lot of workshops in schools, in universities, where we teach what constitutes a good relationship. If you are in an abusive relationship, what to do, what not to do, if you're not safe at home. If you trace back every shooter's life going back, they come from violence. If you grew up in a home that is nurturing, that is loving, that is respectful, you're not going to get a hold of a gun and start shooting a school or anywhere, a movie theater, a mall, a parking lot, a university, you're not going to do that. It needs to be resolved in residency. We have to nip it in the bud where we say, look, these children, schools, you need to make a safe atmosphere for your students. If they're not safe at home, stop catering to the abusive parents, abusive step parents of your students. You need to give voice to your students and your students alone. If they're safe at home, then you have nothing to worry about. But there are 15 million children that witness violence in their own homes each and every year. That's just in the US alone. Those are just the ones that we know about. You need to create a safe space and say, look, if you're not safe at home, who do you feel safe with? Is it an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend? Do not wait until the child is 18 years of age where they can make decisions on their life. It's too late to do anything at 18 years old. You need to ask them and create a safe atmosphere to say, look, if you're not safe with mom and dad, who are you safe with? And we will get you to that person, whether it be an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend, because we echo what Oso Safe is doing, because that's what we're doing. We don't wait until the child is 18 years of age.
So basically, everybody who, like you talked about the school training, the school shootings and everything, and the people in the mall. And yes, we have heard, and studies have shown that people come from violence and they need to just blow off steam, and this is how they do it. But you're talking about nipping it in the bud, right? You're saying right there. Then how do you find people to welcome you? Because most people who are being abused, one, will not agree to the fact that they'll completely deny it.
Yes.
Children, however, children can be different, but most adults will say that. So if it is in a home where a husband is, a couple is abusing each other, then how do you, as a company, your company, go into this home and say, you know what, we feel you're being abused. How do you fix that? I mean, how do you make that place a lovable environment?
You make safety a required standard condition of residency. This is for everybody, whether you're being abused or not abused, whether you're safe at home or not safe at home. So it's a blanket education, a blanket certification for properties. So we don't ask, are you being abused? Of course, the person is going to say, no, I'm not being abused. Everything is fine here. As a child of violence, I know my parents never told me, don't you dare say anything. They didn't have to. It's understood. You don't say anything because you're scared. You know the consequences. There's shame. There's guilt. But at Oso Safe, we make this a standard. We're not asking, are you safe at home? It's a blanket education, a blanket policy that goes for all residency. As I mentioned, it doesn't matter where you live, whether you are in a townhouse, a co-op, a multifamily dwelling, a two-family home. This is going to be a standard for all residency. I'm a real estate agent, and I know I come across landlords and tenants and property owners, property managers every day, all day long, right? So this is going to be a new norm. And quite frankly, as I mentioned, this needed to be done decades and decades ago, because you cannot live your best life if you're living with a terrorist, if you're living with an abuser at home, whether it be mom, dad, stepmom, stepdad, a grandparent, and someone, a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. You can't, and you shouldn't. So we're saying at Oso Safe, hire us. We'll get your property Oso Safe certified as a as a blanket standard for all, no matter where you live, whether you rent, whether you own, whether you have a mortgage or not. And children are honest, I have to say. The quicker you could get them out of that situation, the better, because then the damage is less. So, and children are pretty honest, you know, they're pretty truthful. Given, if they're given the space to be truthful, they'll say, yeah, I'm not safe at home. Dad beats up mom, or mom beats up dad, or I get attacked on my bathing suit parts. We feel that they will say it if you make them comfortable to say it.
Okay, so I get it. So you are on a mission, it looks like, to make everybody safe. And I get it. You know, that's how it should be. We shouldn't have agencies like that. All homes should be safe. That's what I believe. However, we've come to this. So when you say you want to make homes also safe, and you meet with all of the people in the real estate agencies who are brokers, and you mentioned some of them. So how do you go in and make a house safe? What are the protocols? Is this like a monitoring system? Or because more people are now having the Ring on their phone and they want to watch who's coming in and out. Is it something like that? So explain to us what Oso Safe is. Is it a program, and how do you certify anybody to be Oso Safe?
Right, we combine education and technology. So it is the Oso Safe certification, which encompasses 4 components. The first component is a policy, and this is all copywritten and trademarked, and I always consult with a small group of attorneys to make sure that the checks and balances are there legally, so to speak. So the policy is the Oso Safe Home Sweet Home policy. It basically states, I, as a property owner, I promise to provide you a safe space for you to live. You, in turn, as my resident, you promise to not act in any way, shape, or form abusively. Otherwise, you, the abuser only, gets immediately evicted from the premises. And we go into full knowledge knowing that that would be the consequences. So there's no surprise in the policy. We also state in the policy that we do not wait for children to turn 18 years of age to have agency over their lives. Waiting until they're 18 is way too late. So they have a voice, they have choice. This is all in the policy. The second component is the seminar, the Home Sweet Home seminar. Everybody gets educated, Munira, on facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, what constitutes a good relationship. Adults and children alike get educated. So that way there's no excuse. Oh, I didn't know that if I pull my partner's hair, that's abuse. Now you know. The third component is the app. I hired a software company to design an app to detect violent-like movements. So it'll pick up violence, it'll pick up slaps, it'll pick up beatings, it'll pick up kicks and punches and spitting, and you get an alert like, wow, I have 10 units. I just saw you beat the crap out of her in my unit 2, and you just beat the crap out of him in my unit 10. Well, this is grounds for eviction. So that way it removes the he said, she said factor. That's the technology portion. Then the fourth and final component are therapists assigned to the property. You are required in an Oso Safe certified property to check in with your therapist once a month. Is everything okay? Do you feel like anything is looming? Well, Mr. and Miss Therapist, actually, yes, our kid came home with bad grades. We're not going to beat him up. We're not going to verbally disparage her. We know that we are held to a higher regard, a higher standard in an Oso Safe certified property, but help us because we don't know how to handle this. So all of these 4 components working together makes for an Oso Safe certified property. Everybody signs. my logo, our logo gets placed outside of the property. So that way, any vehicle or pedestrian traffic, they see the logo and they say, oh, wow, I know what that means. That means that they make safety a required standard condition of residency. And quite frankly, as a parent, I would rather raise my kid in an Oso Safe certified property versus a property that isn't, because I know that they have systems and mechanisms in place in case violence happens. And everybody else, everyone, this is more on the preventative side. So it's a much better approach versus waiting for an episode of violence to occur. Then police come, bad news travels fast, and then your safe tenants or your safe residents leave. Why should you leave? It's the abuser that has to leave, not you, the safe practicing tenant or the safe practicing resident, if you will. So this is what we are introducing into the real estate industry. And we're speaking to brokers, we're speaking to the National Association of Realtors, the New Jersey Association of Realtors, along with other associations to make this a norm, if you will.
So I like what you are doing. This is amazing. However, being a devil's advocate, I'm sorry, but I just want, because these are the questions the listeners will ask. So one of the questions that I have is, how long have you been in business?
It'll be about 8 years or so. 8 years, roughly. 8 to 10 years.
Okay, so about a decade. Now, are there any companies like yours out there?
Not that we know of. Not doing what we're doing. It's pretty unique. True to form to your podcast, it's a niche in the sense that how we're doing it is very unique. I mean, I think the purpose of it is not a niche. I mean, this should be basic, safe at home. Yeah, you need to be safe at home. There should be respect. There should be positivity. You shouldn't be worried if you're going to get attacked verbally, physically, or sexually from a member of your family. This should be, we need another word. This should be fundamental. So that's not a niche. But I think how we're doing, how we are resolving this big problem is unique, you know, is kind of niche-like, if you will. So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
So in your, let's just say 10 years, what's your success rate? I mean, you wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't successful, but what's your success rate?
Well, the first couple of years, I've made many mistakes, you know, even in the business name. So Oso Safe was not even, I didn't even have the name. So when I say 10 years, I went through several names. I went through different restructuring, if you will. So this is new. Everything that we're doing, it is fairly new. So it's been a couple of years now that I've been marketing it. I've been perfecting it. And like I said, we always consult with a small team of lawyers. So right now, I've just been promoting it to let the world, especially the real estate industry, know that we exist, that these services are out there, that we are promoting this in a way that your residency will be better off for it. And this is better for your bottom line. So that's why I've been doing all these podcasts and all of these interviews to let people know that we exist and that the services exist. Because quite frankly, as a landlord, the biggest problem in residency is, and we don't even like to say domestic violence, it's home violence. You know, it's the biggest problem. And because there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt that comes along with it, but it is indeed the biggest bottom line killer if you will, in residency. So yeah, so it is new. So I've just been marketing it as much as possible.
And are you just promoting this in your area, or are you doing it all over USA?
All over USA, all over USA. And we intend to make this global. But, right now we are, I mean, if we get calls in California or Montana or in Illinois, or we will get your property Oso Safe certified. That's not an issue. That would be a non-issue. This needs to be a standard. And when something is a standard, it crosses over all distances, if you will.
So you talk about single family homes, you talk about multi duplexes, condos, and stuff like that. So are you talking to individual owners, or are you also talking to, are you bringing this realization to everybody who has a place to live?
Everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I mentioned, I'm a real estate agent, so I have access to buyers and sellers and landlords and tenants, and as a real estate agent, you are automatically a member of certain associations. So we are speaking to them to make this, to kind of partner with us or to include us in services, if you will, before handing over those keys to a potential buyer or seller for that matter. Get your property Oso Safe certified. Everybody will be better off for it, because I have to say, all it takes is one episode of violence, one. And on that block, everybody gets affected. Maybe it's not happening in your house or across the street, but all it takes is one episode, and then the news of it travels, and then you feel, wow, this is happening a couple of doors down. It affects everyone's residency, whether it be within the building or even on the same block. It makes everybody uneasy. So, and it creates this uneasiness and conflict, and it's unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. It is inexcusable, unacceptable. And we will see to it that residency moves in this direction.
Okay, this is a very interesting niche. I've never heard of this before in all of the years that I've been doing this. So this is, it's very safe, I feel. But the other question that I would have is, where do people find you?
Sure. Our website is ososafe.com. We are on all the major social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We also just started about a year and a half, TikTok and YouTube and it's under Oso Safe Kids, and it's empowering kids where if they are not, whether they're safe at home or not safe at home, we address all children, but especially if they're not safe at home, it's a safe space for them to get some information, to get voice, to say, wow, I do have a choice. What constitutes a good relationship, that they're not crazy, to say, wow, I'm not in a healthy home. Mom and dad beat each other up. So the TikTok and the YouTube is Oso Safe Kids. And we just also authored a children's book. I have it right behind me here, Home Safe Home for You and Me. And this book will be a staple in Oso Safe certified properties, because it lays the groundwork for safety at home for kids and adults alike. I've had a lot of good feedback from the book, and that's sold on Amazon, and I've seen it on Barnes and Noble and Target. So yeah, all of these channels are the best ways to reach us.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A niche can be created from your experience, good or bad. And how do you do it? Is if you believe in a product, if you believe in it so much, then you can go out and create something that can help everybody else. That's what just our friend Sabrina has done, because she experienced it in her childhood, and then she realized that this is a need everywhere else. And she's creating this Oso Safe community around USA. I'm going to say USA and later out into the world. So thank you, and have a good luck to you. But I feel this is a very great endeavor, and it starts from the home. You're right. Everything starts from the home. So we need to make that safe. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like and share, if you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, because we have different guests who come to us with a different perspective, a different niche, and a different way to start a business. This is very interesting. So thank you so much, Sabrina. We appreciate you, and let's connect in a few months to see where this is going and how your business is faring, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Munira. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week. We'll come back next week with another episode, another guest, another person who's going to talk to you about their niche. Have a good week. Until next week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Munira's Musings. We hope that you found today's conversation inspiring and useful, so that you can continue making progress towards mastering your own niche. Please tune in next week for another episode, and in the meantime, you can follow us on social media at Munira's Musings on Facebook, and leave us a review wherever you're listening to podcasts. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.